Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today. And today's video is for Ellie's Sunday, a collaboration I'm doing with my wonderful friend Scrappy Adam, where each Sunday we choose some Ellie Studio products to focus on and create a layout using those products. So today's focus is Ellie Studio phrase and word stamps. So I've chosen to create a companion page for the page I created in my previous video. I'm using Vicki Boutin Fernwood and documenting the trip that we made to a local national trust last week. So I've pulled out all the greens and blues from my scraps of this collection, and I'm just creating a mat on the right hand side of strips. So just going through all of these scraps and just cutting them at the size that they are into strips so that I can create this lovely mat down the right hand side, and then I shall be using my stamps to stamp all around and show you the different techniques I use for stamping with word and phrase stamps. So the photo, as I mentioned, is one of my husband and I outside on my 50th birthday when we went to a local National Trust property, and the predominant colours in that photo are greens and blues of Ross's coat, which is why I've gone for these colours. So nearly finished now cutting out these strips, and then I'm going to add some decorative borders to the edges of some of the pieces. So using this, I think it's an X-cut punch that I got from a local craft shop, and creating a scallop there, and then I shall go in with my notebook, my two different notebook edger punches to create some more edges on the other pieces that I've cut there. So you will have seen at the beginning the page that I created in my previous video, which has similar colours in it. And because this is the same day, I thought they could go side by side in the album and become a companion page. I say companion page because I'm not really one for creating double page layouts. I think I find the 12 by 24 space a little bit too daunting, so I find it much easier just to create 2 pages. So I'm nearly done with these strips, and then I can start sticking them down. And as you can see, I'm just using PVA glue to stick these down. I made the mistake of getting a cheaper option bottle. It wasn't that cheap, but it really isn't working out very well. So this is one I was trialling to stock at Hey Little Magpie, but that won't be happening. I shall use it up on certain projects, but where you have dimension hit like here where I've been bending up the edges and tried to stick it, it just doesn't hold the same way as the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive does. So this isn't an adhesive for all crafty all scrapbooking jobs certainly, but it'll do. I managed to make it work, but it was work. You don't need that when you're creating. And that's the last strip stuck down there, and I'm really pleased with the way that this mat's worked out. So I'll just bring the photo in to check that I'm happy, and it's lovely, the sizes are right, everything's right about it, so very, very pleased with the way that's turned out. So just bringing in that other page again to check how I feel about them, and you can see the colours work nicely. There's more yellow in the other page that I created the other day, but they still do work really nicely together in an album. They'll look lovely. So I'm starting off with these Elle Studio word circle stamps, and I'm going to stamp directly onto the layout, and I'm just going to add these around the edges of this paper strip. So I'll come in with my pencil and mark where this strip's going to go, just so that I can move it about to get the stamps in the right position. First of all, I'm going to go in with 3 different stamps saying you and me, and I shall use 3 different colours of Distress Oxide to create that stamped area. So I've just got my small Tim Holtz acrylic block here, which is brilliant. He sells a set of, I think there are about 8 acrylic blocks, and they all have the grid on there, so you can line your stamps up nicely, and it's great value for money. I would highly recommend it. We've got them at Hey Little Magpie if you're interested. So just coming in with this first stamp, trying to decide which colour, and I go with Bundled Sage in the end for this one, just testing it on a piece of scrap paper to check I'm happy with the colour and that the stamping works okay. So there's you, and then the next one will be the ampersand and Speckled Egg for that, which matches nicely with the blues in this range. And I'll just overlap slightly on the U, and then finally the word me. And I'm going to come in with my pine needles for this one, just to bring some of that darker colour in. I wanted to check that it did go okay with that script strip that I've got there, because it's quite close to that, so I just wanted to check it wasn't going to clash with that, but it was absolutely fine. So there's the first little cluster of stamps, and these are brilliant. You can punch them with a 3/4 inch punch, or stamp them directly onto your layout. Stamp them onto pattern paper for a different look. I love them. So that one says this, and again with Speckled Egg. And then I found another one that says us, and I'm coming in with Iced Spruce for this one. And these are the colours that I will use for all the stamps around this layout. Next, looking at the details stamp, and I find this one that says Good Times, and this time I'm going to stamp it on a scrap of card and then punch it out using my I think it's my 1.5 inch punch that I used to punch this out. Yeah, and this works really nicely, and this will be popped up onto foam to embellish on top of those strips. and it was mowed lawn that I used for that, just to bring in a bit of brightness. And next I'm coming in with another heart from the word circles and using the speckled egg. And I punched, as I say, punched that out of the 3/4 inch punch, and that will be layered over the good times circle. So just using a tiny bit of that wet glue. For things like this, it's fine. So like I say, I will use it, but it's not something I want to stock. So that's that. And now just starting to add a bit of texture to these strips, using my fingernails to drag through them. And now I'm coming in with my Daily Tab stamp. This is a phenomenal stamp. I use this all the time. I definitely highly recommend this one. Just lots of tiny little typewritten words, and it suits all seasons and all occasions. It's amazing. So this is iced spruce again, and once again just overlapping those circles. That says Hello Autumn, and I'll just stamp it in a few different places, taking advantage of the spaces where the strips go in. So there's a little bit of space to add some stamping. And now the speckled egg, and this one says the best day. So just sprinkling that around the layout. And now bundled sage, and this one says love this day. Mowed lawn, just to bring a bit more of that in because we've got that on good times. So I wanted to bring that in a little bit more to the top of the layout. And this one just says out and about. So you can see it has hundreds of different phrases and they're all brilliant. You'll always find one that will work for you. So now I'm going into this thankful stamp set, which if you've been watching me for any length of time, you'll know is a favourite of mine. Lots of different textures on this, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I've just grabbed the banner because I wanted to show how wonderfully these actually layer up together, these stamps. So first of all, the banner in speckled egg, which I'm going to stamp onto a scrap piece of card again, because I'll cut this out again as an embellishment on the page. And then I'm going to go in with the word love this, and I shall use bundled sage for this over the top of that the blue, speckled egg blue. I always want to call it duck egg blue. And then I'm grabbing the love this outline stamp and going in with ice spruce and just stamping it roughly over. I didn't want it to line up totally because I like the shadow effect that you get when it doesn't really line up, but you can line these up. It's pretty easy with a clear block and the clear stamp, and then just cutting this out with a small white border, and it's a really brilliant embellishment for your page. So you'll notice I'm not bringing in any other ephemera pieces. I'm just using my stamps to decorate this page this time because I really want to focus on the Elle Studio stamps. So just sticking that on the photo with some double-sided tape, and then I'll raise the right hand side up onto a piece of foam, and the photo will also go up on foam as well. And it's not two-dimensional this. I'll have some dimension and texture, as you can see, by dragging my nails along the strips just to raise the edges up a little bit and create some texture on that paper. I'm also going to cut in a little notch on each side of this piece, this strip, so that I can wrap my wax string around that, my wax cotton. This is something I did in the previous layout as well, so it's just mimicking things that I've got on that layout because they're going to be companion pages. It's just nice to bring in some of the elements onto each of them. So just making sure that that's secured in those little notches and then tying a knot here. And just trimming off the edge, checking that I'm happy with the way the strings lie, and then having another look at the layout. So I'm happy with how it is, and now I've got that wax cotton on there. I want to stick it down. So again, using this PVA glue, just getting plenty on the back there to stick it down. And there we go. And you can see how that stamping all nestles in between those strips, and having the pencil marks that I did at the beginning to show me where to stick this down really helps, so that you don't cover up any of your precious stamping. So again, just going around and roughing up these edges. not bothering with a distress tool this time. I didn't want it to be too distressed, but I just wanted to add a little bit of something. The other page isn't very distressed either, so being careful not to do too much. And now I'll bring the photo in. And like I say, that's mounted up onto the 25mm Sticks 2 foam pads, which just raise the photo up a little bit. And I've also done it on this Good Times round embellishment that we created. And that will just overlap the photo nicely there. Just checking for positioning. And then this can go down. And as I mentioned before, I will add some foam to that Love This banner where it hangs off the edge of the photo. And now adding a piece of foam underneath that heart stamp as well, just to make sure that that doesn't flop down because the Good Times is on some foam. And the final thing I want to do on this layout is create my title. So I'm going in with the large Jane alphabet stamps, and I've got the solid alphabet stamp and the outline alphabet stamp. And I just want to put down the left-hand side of the page the words Dun and Massey, which is where we were. And this will join the two pages really nicely, having this title more or less in the middle of the two of them. So on the left-hand side of this layout, it really joins them together. So I shall be using the same Distress Oxide inks that I used on the main layout, just focusing on Ice Spruce, Bundled Sage and Speckled Egg to do the main letters. And then the outline I will use a navy blue, so I end up using the Chipped Sapphire. I didn't want to go with black because there isn't really any other black on the page, so I thought that Chipped Sapphire would be really nice because we've got that dark navy in the spotty paper over on the left hand, well at the bottom at the moment, but over on the left hand side of the page. So first of all, going in with all the solid letters, and I'm doing them individually because I'm using different colours. If I was doing them as one colour, which I considered, I would have used that long block that you can see on the desk there, and that's also from this Tim Holtz acrylic block set. Like I say, it's an absolutely brilliant set. I think it's $24.99, so a bit of an investment, but you've got every single size of block that you could possibly need in that set. So I just cut that out because it's just me stamping a letter at a time, and it took me quite a while, but it's well worth it. And there we have it. And I started and finished with that duck egg blue. When I'm doing different colours on a title, I often try and do that, use the same colour at the beginning and the end. So here I am with the Chipped Sapphire, and I do try Uncharted Mariner as well, but it's way too green for what I want. So just testing those both out, and I decided that definitely Chipped Sapphire is the way to go. And as with that Love This banner, I definitely want to offset the outline over these letters. It looks nice, it adds a shadow, but it also makes it much easier to stamp because you're not trying to line up exactly. So just again, I'll cut this out because you don't need to watch me doing all of these, but you can see it's very simple to do, just offsetting each of the letters. And I do go a bit crazy on this Y. It's a bit more offset than the others, but it still looks fine. So bringing in that first page again just to check, and you can see how that title down the left hand side really ties them both together. So the final thing I'm going to do is use my gold watercolour to add some splatters, because this is what I've done on that first page, and that's it. So please do check the description box down below. I'll link to Adam's channel. Can't wait to see what he does this week because our styles are very different, so it's wonderful to see two different takes using the same products. Other than that, I shall see you very soon for my next video. I'll leave you with some close-ups. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.